Hello and welcome to 2-Second Raid's Guide to Ultimate. The purpose of this guide is to allow players with less savage or difficult content experience to pick up Ultimate with their static in the simplest way possible. My name is Rei, aka 2-Second Dork, and I will be your raid guide. Before I begin this guide, I must say that there is a good reason very few people make videos of this fight. It is impossible to fit all the information needed with the accurate stats and suggestions into a video. So as such, this video does come with a Word document. You will find the link in the description, and I highly recommend you use the Word document alongside this video for visual and both text references for the fight. I have included as much information as I can in this video, but the document is most definitely more resourceful. Before we begin this guide, I would like to discuss our setup. For the purposes of this guide, our setup is as follows: MT, OT, H1, H2, R1, R2, M1, M2. During 2-Second Raid's ultimate progression, our MT is a Gunbreaker, our OT is a Paladin, healers are Scholar and White Mage respectively, our DPS are Summoner, Dancer, Dragoon and Monk. In terms of food, please bring the highest quality food you possess, as any HP bonus will be incredibly helpful during the healing. With gear, at level 80 the majority of our group synced their raid gear down to eye level. However, members who wanted to adjust substats individually would mix their gear with Alliance gear from Gimlet Dark. Please take note that any materia slotted into gear will be disregarded, as this is a synced down eye level. Finally, before we begin, these are the waymarks we will be using for our fight. As you pull, face Garuda north away from the party positioned on A. The first mechanic for the main tank is to dodge a frontal conal AoE from Garuda. At the same time, one healer will be chosen for Mistral's Song with a green marker. Off-tank must accompany this healer to the east, stand between them and Garuda, and cool down the large incoming damage. This attack will leave a large Cyclone AoE, so be sure to move out of it once concluded. The moment Cyclone is down, Garuda will summon Adds. It is the off-tank's job to land the first hit on Spiny Plume, ensuring enmity. Spiny will proceed to tank Buster twice, so be prepared to cool down as needed. Once Spiny is low on HP, move it towards the D marker. At the same time, main tank will dodge another slipstream and then take the downburst tank buster away from the group. Scholar Excognition is recommended for this damage. As a party, you are to AoE down the satin plumes and leave the Spiny Plume on roughly 20% health. Once Spiny has died, it will leave an AoE puddle and eventually spawn a bubble. Have the party stack on the edge of the AoE. Immediately move the party inside the bubble except for the off-tank. Once the party is healed enough, have the off-tank step inside for minimal damage. Make sure this is done so before the first cast of Friction. This will cleanse the off-tank's 2 stacks of Thermal High. Garuda is now 1 stack of Woken. Have your 2 stack members step out immediately. For us, this is R1, M1 and M2. Garuda will cast Friction. R1, M1 and M2 will gain 1 stack of Thermal High. Now have the entire party stack outside the bubble. Garuda will cast Friction again. MT, OT, H1, H2, R2 will gain a stack, leaving R1, M1 and M2 now on 2 stacks. Have M1 step back into the bubble and cleanse both stacks, leaving Garuda with 2 stacks of Woken. Have M2 cleanse their stacks, stepping into the bubble, leaving Garuda at 3 stacks of Woken. As crazy as this maths might seem, done correctly it should end up a lot like this. M1 and M2 have 0 stacks left, having both cleansed theirs. Both your healers have 1 stack, your off-tank has 1 stack, main tank 1 stack, are a 1/1 stack, and your final ranged player has 2 stacks. Garuda herself is now 3 stacks of Woken. You will need a 4th stack to wake her, and that will be towards the end of this fight. So let's take a look at this bubble phase in action. Stand on the edge, party in, off tank in, 2s out, friction, all out, friction, melee 1, melee 2. You can see 3 stacks of Woken. For the healers, let me focus for a moment on the health pool percentages. Here the bubble is dropping. Large damage. Every time a player moves into the bubble, the players on the outside of the bubble will receive a higher amount of damage. Take note of friction here, and the damage as players go in. You will need consistent healing, as you can see by our white mage, through this phase. After a few moments, Garuda will jump. The party will need to move and adjust to Refrain accordingly. The following Mistral Shriek is a moderate to large raid-wide damage that can be mitigated and must be healed through. Have the party stack in the center. And now we move in to the Sisters phase. The opening section to this phase is good for burst damage, as Garuda is targetable and stationary for around a good 10 seconds. Once the sisters drop down into the arena, they will then immediately jump, move the party out to avoid Refrain, and then return to the center. Take note of the cardinals that the sisters have spawned on. Main tank, you currently have Garuda. Leave her in a safe position. In this example, that is south. Now stand between one of the sisters and the party. In this example, west. Off tank, locate the remaining sister and stand between the sister and the party, with this example, at north. Both tanks should cool down accordingly, for the following downburst is indeed a tank buster. Let's take a look at the fight and the other tactics that party members will need to employ. Avoid the Refrain and then return to the centre of the arena. 2 downburst markers are visible. Tank leaves Garuda's safe zone, returns to sister. Both tanks eat the busters. Move for Refrain. The party will then reconvene at one of the 2 safe cardinal points. I recommend that the melee move towards Garuda in the safe zone and the ranged take the other cardinal area. Proceed to reposition Garuda to the centre and then north. Moving on to the Tethers phase, it is time to wake Garuda. Satin plumes will spawn, however this time without a spiny plume. Have the party stack in the centre and they will automatically come into the middle. AoE them down. Garuda's sisters will spawn once more, this time with Tethers. Have your off tank take the western tether, and your ranged with 2 stacks take the eastern tether. Meanwhile, with Garuda positioned north and facing away from the group, it is the main tank's job to dodge the slipstream once more. Then, as you do, hit your cooldowns, step back in front of her, and proceed to be tank busted by downburst. Garuda will scream, jump, and the entire party must then move for Refrain. Adds come to the centre. AoE them down, take the Tethers. Tank dodges slipstream, steps into downburst, Tethers and everything resolve, and move for Refrain. Garuda is now woken. Another slipstream, step out of the way main tank, and return to the front. Wicked Wheel, step out of the AoE, immediately step back in, stack as a group, and eat downburst together. Return Garuda to facing north for one last slipstream, finally finish her off. have your healer retrieve the puddle that appears under Garuda's death area. Ifrit will then spawn, run for your lives, and please check out my next video for where I will explain these tactics. Thank you for watching my video. In the description you can find links to the Google Doc for the guide, my Twitter, and I'd love it if you liked and subscribed. I am just but a small Vieira trying to prove that anyone, absolutely anyone, can do Ultima or Savage content if given the right environment and enough time. I hope this video helps. Good luck raiding!